If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Hello and welcome to episode 401 of Picks and Ponies, special Tuesday night edition, right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz. Thanks for joining us tonight as we are about to start an unbelievable week of racing. Last week was fantastic. This week we got big time racing at Gulfstream and Oak Lawn in Florida and Arkansas. And tonight we are here to preview 5 undercard stake races on Florida Derby Day this Saturday. And as the racing secretary would have it at Gulfstream, we're covering 4 graded stakes. Really good. And I think the reason why these 4 grade stakes are outside of the late pick 5, which will be covered by my wonderful co-host and host of Bet and Boozin' tomorrow night, Wednesday night, is because the races we're covering tonight have a little bit smaller fields. They're not small fields. They're just smaller than some of the other stakes, which is why I believe a lot of the grade stakes are outside of late pick 5. And we're here to cover, get this, all 10 stakes, most of them graded, Saturday at Gulfstream here on the HHH Racing Podcast. We are going to cover all 10 like a glove. Tonight, we're going to cover 5 of them. Please make sure you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because, ladies and gentlemen, round of applause, we hit 5,000 subscribers earlier this week. We could not do it, of course, without you folks. And it's worth mentioning, a lot of people don't know this, about 60% of viewers that watch our show are not subscribers. So we got plenty of room to grow. Let's go to 10K, folks. If you watch the show and you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen where that red box is located. Of course, smash the like button and hit the notification as well. I'm going to talk about really important, fun, new Power Pick tip sheet information also later in the show. Many of you watching already received emails. If you're on our email list, we're very excited to talk about Team HHH, sort of our new way to follow us here through our Power Picks. We'll talk about that later on the show, and you can do that by going to our website, hhhracingpodcast.com, which we'll be doing. And finally, want to mention that we are sponsored by the Adelphi Racing Club manager, Matt Cuter. Go to the website, adelphiracing.com, one word for information how you get involved with Adelphi Racing and be a partner like myself. All right, let's bring on my co-host. Now, I know you're probably expecting Pete and Paul, but look, we got a big week going on. I told them, hey, why don't you guys just get ready for our big Thursday night show that we're going to have for the Arkansas Derby Late Pick 5. So I called in the lefties and the righties, both of them. Went to the bullpen, and these guys are not just your normal relief pitchers. They do a fantastic job on the network. I'm not sure we've had a show, 400, 500 shows of just me and the 2 people that we're going to have on tonight. So I'm very excited. First, to bring on the host of Bet and Boozin', Mr. Colorasco, and co-host of Bet and Boozin' from New Jersey, Patrick Kunzel. Patrick, nice hat. Gentlemen, how you doing tonight?
Hey, you guys are twinning. That's cute, but don't click off, everyone. I promise. Just because Pete and Paul aren't here, you don't get a rant. Don't click off. It's going to be a good show.
Yeah, we're very
No.
versatile. Kyle's the lefty, I'm the righty. We got a good bullpen.
There you go. Yeah, I was serious about that
almost like a
lefty-righty
good team.
thing. Pat and I are sporting our Gulfstream hats, guys. The card Saturday is tremendous. It's right up there with Pegasus Day and Fountain of Youth Day, or some of the big days they have. I mentioned 10 stakes, Kyle. It's crazy, and the three of us are fortunate enough to cover 4 graded stakes. In fact, the late pick 5 only has 1 grade stake. It does happen to be the Florida Derby, which I know you're going to be covering like a glove tomorrow night. But it's interesting that a lot of the grade stakes are early in the card. I'm really excited to talk about them with you guys.
Yeah, I always joke about it because Gulfstream Park usually hates me and likes to put graded stakes. They know we're covering it, so it's like, you know what? Let's put those graded stakes outside. But it is right, Howard, that they're not small fields, but they are smaller than and arguably less competitive than what's going to be covered on our show tomorrow night. So definitely not a show you guys are going to want to miss, and as well as Thursday's Picks and Pony show as well. Don't want to miss. This is a really good weekend for racing.
Well, and then tonight after our show at 8:30 Eastern, or excuse me, 9:30 Eastern, we've got Pacific Horse Players with Noah, Ryan, and Jackson. So we got it covered. Let's just go to the chat real quick, guys. Then we're going to start. Boy, I love this. This is really heartwarming from Raymond Cromley. HHH Racing Podcast has felt like home. Raymond, thanks a lot. We do. I treat my hosts and co-hosts like family. They are like family to me, and all of you at home, they're our extended family, like Matt Miller, who says hello to Raymond. So hi, Matt. I know he's watching. Jim Pilars is here. Looking forward to Florida Derby Day and soon becoming a member of Team HHH. And if you're not on our email list, I know, Pat, some people are wondering what the heck is Team HHH, but Patrick, briefly, we'll talk about later in the show. We got a lot of power pick opportunities for our fans to get a great amount of information the rest of 2025.
Yeah, that email has a ton of great information, and I mean, it pays for itself, as you like to always say, right? It always has a lot of good information, and is a weekly occurrence. And I think with Keelan coming up, it's going to be the start of a string of months that just are unbelievable with racing. So get it while you can.
And for those that don't know, Howard, normal power picks, I believe it's 4 years in the positive now at this point, maybe even over that.
I started the power picks in February of 21, so we're over 4 years, and we're still at an ROI of like way over positive, like 215. So yeah, I'm really proud of the job that everyone's done, and selfishly, I'll give myself a pat on the back because I'm the one that usually does.
So you can do that.
Matt Miller, I just paid Howard through age 70. Wow. And made him promise to give the money back to my kids if I don't make it. Wow. Matt, you're going to make it. What are you talking about? But thank you, Matt. Matt, great supporter, of course, of the show. And yes, Matt, you were the 5,000 subscriber, maybe. I don't know. We got to do a little research on that. We'll find out. Just see here, looking at some other things in the chat. Let's see. Chris Couples here. Kyle looks a bit better than last time I saw him at the NHC. That was a rough little time you had there at the NHC, Kyle. But
Chris just like to kick me when I'm down. That's all it is.
There you go. All right. Anyway, a lot of people in the chat. We really appreciate it. Mike Saletta is also looking forward to being part of Team HHH. And again, we will talk about that later in the show. Pat, you've been on for many Gulfstream shows. I know you're not Mr. South Beach like Charlie, but not who can be when it comes to Charlie. But you've handicapped a lot of Gulfstream, I'd say, in the last 6 months. We're coming to the end of their championship meet. The turf, it's getting a little durfy. It's always firm. The weather's been very dry there, but it's interesting how it's going to play on Saturday because speed might play better. It seems like it's been playing better lately.
Yeah, for sure. I think this turf course, as you watch kind of trainers pick and choose their spots, in the wintertime, Gulfstream is one of those trickier ones because, some don't prefer it. But I think this season it's kind of been pretty consistent throughout. It has had some lulls, but I think, this card is one of those ones where, trainers and connections that, have their big time turf horses, ready to go. They're going to run them here. And I think this card offers that.
Well, I have a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot. I have some inside intel on some of these races that we're going to talk about. Let's jump in, guys. The first race, again, we're not talking about a specific sequence. We're just talking about stake races before the pick 5, ladies and gentlemen. The first one is race 3. It's the Cutler Bay. Let me make this bigger. The Cutler Bay, $165,000 is the purse. They're only 7.5 furlongs. Pretty short run into that first turn. This does start, by the way, the middle pick 5, ladies and gentlemen, where the CAWs are not allowed to be a part of it. So if you want to play the middle pick 5, it does start in race 3. This is, we don't have morning lines right now. These are for the boys, 3-year-olds. I'm guessing, guys, the morning line favorite will be between the number 5 Walk-In and the number 9 Forge Steel. I'm completely guessing there, but that would be my feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and see where we're going here to start off the stake races. On the bottom of the screen, I'm going to go what I think is going to be a bit of a price.
Yeah.
I'm going 296. Kyle's going 915, and Pat is going 917. So Kyle and Pat, you're both thinking the same way. So Kyle, we're gonna have you start first with the number 9 Forge Steel for Safi and Irad. This is a very potent combination who should show speed from the outside and definitely be a threat to win this race.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting run to the first turn, Howard, because I'm sure you've looked at Timeform. A lot of people know that we like to look at Timeform US and their early pace projector. I think the whole race for the number 9 Forge Steel, especially with the short run up to that first turn, is what the number 8 Kinetic Control does, because this is a really interesting spot for this horse. I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit. Has been fast, hasn't been fast early. It kind of depends on the race almost for Kinetic Control. So going to be really interesting to see what he does. But Forge Steel has looked very good. He's shown the ability to not necessarily rate from like a mid-pack standpoint, but he's shown the ability to take back, sit off the early speed, and then make his run before anyone else, keying in on that 7.5 furlong last year in the summer at Gulfstream Park. Was the horse beat him to the outside to the lead, had to take back, went to the outside, and honestly was very impressive as a maiden. Probably beat nobody in there, but has come back to run some very good numbers, including 2 back in that optional claiming race. So hopefully if horses go to the inside, we'll see what Kinetic Control does, but Walk-On's definitely going to go as well. So hoping for just a nice, easy trip, if whatever, depending on what Kinetic Control does, but we'll get first run on a lot of others in here.
I think that's very well stated. Pat, I've got this one second. I'm not sure I'm as confident as Kyle's about passing other horses, and he could be wide. Do you want Irad just to go for it and gun it and try to get the lead, or do you think Irad will just be content to sit in behind and hope he passes? Because this is a likable sort, and he definitely fits. I don't know if he could pass a park card, to be very honest with you. I'm just not so sure.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Irad's going to do the opposite of whatever I say because that's Irad. But
Okay.
but no, I do think he's going to be forward and Irad's going to be aggressive with this horse. But Kyle said everything, like you said, Howard, spot on with, the 8 controlling a lot of what the 9 does in here. And I think that's what's going to make this really interesting because, I do think, between the two that you have and the one who I'm going to have from off the pace, I think there's a couple in here that could show some speed, like Kyle said.
Yeah, well, Walk-In, I actually think Walk-In's the one that's going to be up front, more than Discreet. The Discreet, and sorry, not Discreet Dancer, the Kinetic Control. For 2 reasons, guys. One, I think Walk-In needs the lead also, number 1. And number 2, that's the only way this horse has really won. They did face each other last time, Walk-In and the number 9 Forge Steel. I just want to show the stretch. Watch the 1 and the 6. And yes, the 6 beats the 1. We'll just go right to the stretch. But it's not like the 6 was a closer. Again, Forge Steel got a very good trip. Here's Walk-In. They're right next to each other here. Kyle, why don't you what do you see here in the stretch, if anything at all?
It's, honestly, the Forge Steel is a little goofy coming down the stretch, which obviously can be argued that, he might just not be a good horse. I think Mibago is well and above a lot of these horses in this race. You can go back through a lot of running lines in this field to find Mibago. So maybe Forge Steel isn't the best horse in this race, but comparatively, there's no Mibago in here. So kind of taking best of the rest per se. And I agree with you completely that Walk-In's going to be the one up front. just with kinetic control drawn right to the inside. I think that's going to determine a lot of what IRAD does in here. But I do like your pick with the 2, actually. That's
Guys,
why I'm
here's
glad
my
you have
thing.
it in there.
Yeah, look, class of course, I'm guessing 8-1 morning line,
I think
and it's
that's
not
fair.
going to be Junior. Unfortunately, he got injured. I have no idea who's going to be riding. And we just found out today, by the way, that Manny Franco is going to, you guys will talk about tomorrow. I don't want to steal your thunder, but Manny Franco is going to ride Sovereignty in the Florida Derby.
Mhm.
You guys will talk about that tomorrow on Wednesday night show. Guys, this is a very soft opinion, but you know what? I looked over this race a lot. I'm not as big a fan of the 1 as you guys are. The 5 and 9 both seem to need the lead. I couldn't find the 4 looks slow. I'm not sure how good he really is, although he's coming off a layoff. I'd be interested more in Discreet Dancer, who actually have 3rd if he was faster, but I think Discreet Dancer can actually improve off the long layoff and is the only proven closer really in the race. So I went with the horse that I think it's going to be tactical, the number 2 Classic, of course. Now, you could say, who has he faced? Guys, he's faced some very good horses. I mean, Raid by Merit was the best Florida bred, actually one of the better 3-year-olds in the country earlier in the winter. And then he faced Vassimo. I mean, he's faced really nice horses. And what I like about him a lot is 2 things, guys. I shouldn't say a lot, but what fascinates me is, first of all, he's going to get a great trip in theory, stalking. Number 2, he can pass. And number 3, maybe this horse is okay on synthetic/turf. Now, he's never been on turf, but the dam, again, none of the sibs. The dam, I missed it. Oh, the dam actually was unraced, right? So there's a lot to prove here, but the fact that B and Cohen, guys, put him on Sin, raced very well, and by the way, got a really good number, and worked the horse, by the way, 7 furlongs on turf. Maybe he sees something here. I'm just not enamored with this field. And the last thing I'll say, and on this show we've talked about a lot, the time form numbers. Pat, you and I talked about this. Take a look at the time form numbers. I'm due 88.93. We'll talk about this horse in a minute, and then we'll go on to the next race. Classic horse got a 103. Just keep that in mind. A 103. Yes, it was on Sin, right? The supposed best horses in this race are Wacken, who got a 104 and a 106. Okay, so the 2 absolutely fits there. And Forge Steel, 103, 105. So that synthetic race by the number 2 Classic, of course, guys, in theory, is just as good as the others, basically. And I think he can pass horses. So, look, it's a guess. It's a soft pick, but I'm going to get a price, and I'm going to try with Classic, of course. I'm due. I know you guys feel like you're due to hit some winners on Saturday. Wait, Pat, talk about this horse a little bit. Kyle, you can interject and move on.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle, I don't know about you. I thought the last race, went off as a soft favorite. I just thought that was kind of impressive. I know it's slower than most in here, but I don't know. I thought Paco rode this horse, very positively and was, kind of knew exactly what he was getting with this horse. And at the end of the day, kind of in the stretch, just went on with it and was just like this horse was the winner the whole way. So I think this horse has more in the tank, and I'm hoping I could take another step forward.
Yeah, and the thing that I really like about this, granted, he did get a very good trip that day, but the one thing that I do like about this horse is he's progressively getting better. Obviously, does not, as Howard show, I completely agree with him that he is slow right now based on, honestly, more on time form than he is on the buyer figures. But he, like Howard pointed out, there's not a lot of horses in here that like to pass. I'm Due is definitely one of those proven, can continue to improve. But again, he's going to have to show that improvement to be able to compete with the numbers that others are running. But from just a trip standpoint, I think I'm Due could just get the best of the trips.
I was ready to pick him, guys, until the buyers and especially the time form was slow. I also don't like coming back in 3 weeks. Now, he did it in hand there in that replay, guys, so maybe I'm nitpicking here, but it almost feels like they're just going to the spot because he's feeling good and this is a good spot for him in terms of where he's at right now, but I'm not sure I love him in this race. But I'm using the 1. I'm using the 1 also. I just don't like the 1 quite as much. Bittersweet loves the 1. He says don't sleep on the 1. It is our favorite guy, Paco. So we'll see. Just trying to look at some other in the chat. I think we're good. Please make sure you keep commenting in the chat, we'd greatly appreciate it. Let's go on to the next race, guys. The next race, again, this is the next race literally on the card, but we're skipping around a little bit because we're not covering a particular sequence. This is, oh boy, here we go, Kyle. Now, we always chuckle when we see the name of this race, and Pat, because one of our we won't mention one of our wonderful friends and hosts on the podcast mispronounced this name, the name of the race accidentally, but anyone could have a bad day. This is the Orchid, like the flower. It's the Orchid Stakes. It's race 4, distance race. Now this race is being run, by the way, on the outer part of the turf. The race we just covered is being run on the inner part of the turf. Just to let everyone know, 66 feet, 165K is the purse. Relatively a small field of 7. Again, they're going a mile and a half, the older fillies and mares. Let's see here where we're going to go in this race right now. I'm going 6-1-4. Pat's going 6-1. Sorry, Pat's going 6-4-1, and Kyle is going 6-1-2. Wow. I guess Beach Bomb will be 3-5 here. Huh? I don't know. I do think Beach Bomb will be. What do you guys think? 9-5 morning line?
Yeah, I think 8-5 is what I had originally. What I was thinking.
Pat, I don't think she lays over the field, but I just do think she's better than others. This was a power pick tip sheet tip out, may I say. Last time she ran, I think we got some kind of ridiculous 9:20 to win or something. With a great ride by Louis Saez, Patrick, just sort of smelled the room and went right to the lead. I don't think that Beach Bomb's going to have the lead this time, but it's Saez again in Grand Motion.
Yeah, I remember watching that race with the group and on StreamYard, and yeah, that was very easy off the layoff. Loved the way Louis rode the horse, and I think second off the layoff after the Breeders' Cup should get another improvement here. This horse is very tactical, can find its way, and Grand Motion's always obviously picked his horses in the right spots in here, and I think this horse will lay over this field. I'm not really too concerned about having to deal with any of that. So ultimately, I just think it's kind of a question of how good are the others in here. And I know, we have some intel on those others.
Yeah, we do. And that's a good point. And by the way, Kyle's going to appreciate this. Kyle, we actually have more people. We have a ton of people watching. We actually have more people watching on YouTube right now than X, which doesn't happen very often, which I love, Kyle, which means people are interested in being involved in our live chat. So we would always prefer people to watch us on YouTube over X, but we'll take either way. Kyle, any quick thoughts on Beach Bomb? I'll interject something. We'll go to the one.
I mean, Pat knows how much I love this horse. I love this horse last time. I love this horse early at Santa Anita. Didn't run that well. Obviously lost to Hang the Moon, who's obviously very good West Coast. But yeah, perfect ride last time. I don't necessarily think she needs the lead by any means. In this race, I think it's going to be between the 5, My Brazilian Girl, and the 7 to Beach Bomb's Outside and Infinite Diamond. Yeah. So if she can just sit right behind those two, I think it's almost just how good she is on the day. And if it's anything like the last couple that she's ran, she's going to be very good in this spot. Although I just realized now by the comment in the chat that the 4 is a Delphi. Very good friends of the podcast, and I am probably going to get thrown under the bus by Matt Gutierrez now for not having this horse in my top 3. But
by the way, Chris Couple said Howard saved me that day. I Beach Bomb nowhere. Look, a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, Chris. I do appreciate that. Noah is still claiming it's called the Orchid.
Guys,
everyone, please go to. No, don't do it on an X. We don't want to make it too public. Please email Noah and tell him that it's not pronounced. That the CH is not pronounced a soft CH. It's a hard CH. But anyway, we'll talk about the 4. I've got intel, Kyle, on the 4. But notice I have the 4 and 3rd. Just to make note of that. I think Beach Bomb is very logical. I agree with what you guys said. You think she's going to improve? That was the first off the layoff. I don't think she needs to improve that much, but it is a pretty competitive field. I would not take her on the win end at anything lower than 2-1 in this race, though. But she is an A for me. Let's talk about the 1, guys, before we talk about some others, including a Delphi horse. Pat, you and I talked about this horse a little bit yesterday through a phone call. I really think Silvology is interesting. I think she's going to be 5-6-1. It just feels to me, Pat and Kyle, that these long distance races can be weird. And it feels like some of these up and comers do very well in this race, as opposed to ones that have been running for a while at this distance. And this horse I thought was pretty damn impressive last time and gets Dylan Davis, which to me is fascinating also because there are 2 Clements in this race and Dylan Davis is not riding either one of them, which maybe our good friend right here with Adelphi Racing, Matt Cutier, might have some insight on the rider situation because we don't want to play the jockey musical chairs too often. As Matt says, go Sakaya, who's the 4, which we'll talk about in a minute. If Matt wants to interject anything about Sakaya when we get to her, feel free. But anyway, Pat, I thought Silvology ran really big last time for Dylan, and I think the horse could improve, only a 4-year-old.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's definitely the case, and I think Dylan might see the same thing as the 2 La Mahana Dylan's rode in grade 3s the last 3 times out. So yeah, Silvology, for Shug has been very, very consistent and has improved with every start. I don't see why it can't improve again. And I thought that race 2 back, honestly, I know the Bayer's not as good, but those fractions, were a little bit slower, and that horse still came on and found a way. So I definitely think this horse, especially at a price that we should get, is going to be right there.
Not only that, Pat and Kyle, this is the 3rd turn, right? It's 3 turns. This is a pretty early aggressive move right here. Kyle, he certainly acted like he had plenty of horse, and he had to battle. Look, these horses he's running against Saturday are better than these, Kyle, but these are not bad allowance horses, and he really had to battle, and he got the distance. I love his fight here in the stretch, and when I show the time for him, he absolutely fits.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely he fits, and I think we talk about this angle a lot, Howard, right? Where you're looking for a fresh face. The 2, the 3, and the 6 all have run against each other a couple times, especially the 2 and the 3. I agree. I think Silvology is definitely the most interesting of those fresh faces. Like you said, it's going to have to improve a little bit, but out of the trip he should get in this race, I feel like he's another one that's probably going to sit right behind Beach Bomb. And if not for the win, can definitely be there for any type of exotics that you're playing.
Again, I'm a believer of time for him, guys, especially on turf. And I saw this, I was surprised. Silvology, look at the nice progression, guys. Talk about a typical Shug horse, right, guys? That's just getting better and better slowly. 102, 106, 110, 113. That last effort was 116 on the time for him. Look at La Mejana, who's much more established. Exact same figs, right? Even go down to a Queen Regent's a little bit slower. We'll get to Sakai in a minute. Here's the likable favorite Beach Bomb. Okay, he's got the 120, right, in the Breeders' Cup race, but other than that, 118, 117. And Silvology just ran a 116. Guys, I don't see much of a difference here between the one and the others. So I think the 1 Silvology is fascinating. Now let's talk about the Adelphi horses. La Mejana is very likable. He's been, this is an IRAD taking over here. Let's see. Pat, you don't have him anywhere, so I'll go to you quickly, Kyle. This horse can win. I'm getting a little bit sick of his act. I don't mean to be disrespectful to my friends this is not Adelphi.
It's not.
I've been getting a little bit sick of her act because she always makes a big run, doesn't quite get there. And IRAD with the mount, Kyle. Now, IRAD doesn't usually ride for Clement. It's usually Dylan or Rosario, and Rosario is on Sakaya.
Correct.
And Dylan stays with the 1. You can read in there however you want. I think that's a negative to La Mejana, personally. I know it's IRAD, and that might sound crazy, but that's how I feel about it.
Honestly, I mean, I agree with you just from a trainer intent standpoint, if you will, because of how he has his preferred. All the trainers all have their preferred riders, right? But Dylan and Joel, as you pointed out, are on the 2 others that you would think they would be on in this race. Obviously, you get IRAD. It's definitely not any type of a downgrade. But I mean, for La Mejana, I've always been kind of against her. I just feel like what she's gonna do. Well, I know. I replied to him in there, and that's after.
Happy birthday, Matt. Matt Cutier's birthday is Saturday.
Absolutely. Okay. Happy birthday. And that's to my comment about me completely negating Sakaya. And there you go. Dylan could have ridden La Mejana. So same, there's so many different arguments that you could make here. You just know what La Mejana is, right? You know exactly what she's going to do in each race. And if she's not going to get any better, I'd be much more willing to take a horse like Silvology that's getting that progression, could get even better than a horse that's, 1, going to be a shorter price, and 2, we already know what she is in La Mejana. But I'm interested to hear what you guys like about Sakaya.
I feel a little guilty. I should have called Matt Cutier and invited him to come on the show to talk about this horse. But sorry, Matt. I should have thought about that. Next time, Matt, just invite yourself. We'll be happy to have you on. I got a little info on Sakaya. Just people would take it or leave it, but this is from not the horse's mouth, but the trainer's mouth, so to speak. Miguel Clement, the assistant for Christoph, I know they like the horse a lot. I just want to say that. I watched some replays, Kyle. I know, Patrick, we talked. It looks like she wants to be forward. Now, how that's going to translate to American racing, I have no idea. This is not some kind of Euro superstar at all, but this was a decent horse in France that has now been bought privately by Adelphi Racing. I do not have a piece of this one. No real reason other than I'm just sort of laying low with my horse purchasing right now. But I love this purchase by the Adelphi Racing Club because I think she's got some talent. They've been always pointing to this spot. I could tell you that. She's working very well. And actually, why am I talking about? Let's hear from Matt Couture right here. Yeah, from Matt Couture of Adelphi Racing. She's trained very well since arriving at Payson in January. Last two horses were with Farbridge. Now, I did not know that because they were not available. Ooh, interesting. Would be happy to hit the board, but like that, Christoph is taking the shot here. Vote of confidence. So interesting that she's been working with Farbridge, you guys. I did not know that. How is she working, Matt, with Farbridge? Yeah. I mean, is she 10 legs off of Farbridge, Matt? Or come on, you got to give us a little more info of that. Anyway, I've got her third. I sort of agree with Matt Couture. I'm not sure she's going to win this race, but I think she'll be interesting, guys.
I just thought she was a little slow personally, but obviously
she is
5 coming over, but she's working well. And obviously, like Matt and you said, Christoph Clement obviously putting in here is a pretty big vote of confidence. So we'll see how she runs in here. And obviously, if she runs very well, it'll be interesting to see where they put her next. But Pat, what anything to add on Sakaya before we move on?
No, I give Matt credit for saying well enough. You know, you don't hear many connections say it like that. So no, that's great. No, I think the source is really cool, and it's awesome to see friends have a horse with the kind of this trajectory of hopefully being something pretty good down the road as she can progress.
My gut feeling, guys, is she won't. Once I say she needs one, she might just need the experience in the United States. I'm not suggesting she's not in good shape. I mean, the Clements do a great job off the layoff. I think they're pulling her mainly. And again, if Matt wants to interject, he can, because man, I did not talk about what I'm about to say. I think their main target is some of the distance turf races in New York. I think that's what they're sort of pointing towards. But yeah, Sakaya should be a fun horse to watch and will be interesting, guys. Let's go on to the third leg. Or the third race of our conversation. Then we'll get into the Team HHH power picks. The next race we're going to talk about, guys, is the Pan American. This is another long distance race. It is race 6 on Saturday. It's a grade 3. It's $215,000. They're also going a mile and a half, but this one's for the older boys. I am guessing, I don't have to guess. The morning favorite's going to be Farbridge. Could be as low as 8-5 morning line, I would guess, maybe even 6-5. I'm not really sure. He is coming off a layoff. Again, Clement's got 2 in here. He's got his go-to rider, Rosario, on Farbridge, and he's got another one of their riders they like, which is Dylan on Tawnyport, who's also a nice horse. Let's see where we're going to go here. We're all going to go with Farbridge. I think we all might have some small reservations, though. I'm going 4-5-3. Kyle's going 4-7-3. Pat's going 4-3-5. Kyle Farbridge, wow, what a year he had last year. I mean, he whoops, I went to the wrong race there a second. He did a lot of good things. He got really hot over the summer, upset the Sword Dancer, beating some Godolphins at 8-1 there, and then won the Turf Classic at Belmont at Aqueduct at almost 3-1. Running monster races, and even was bet in the Breeders' Cup Turf at 7-1 and ran okay, was up close to the pace. If Farbridge is ready, Kyle, this thing is over, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think there's any better way to put it than just that. I was very happy to not be completely off of him. I got a good price on him in the Manhattan and a trifecta. Did not have him in that Sword Dancer, I'll tell you that for free. Did have him in the Turf Classic, so I was happy to always be on the train. I've always thought this horse had talent. English Channel, Kitten's Joy, you can go on and on about how good of turf breeding that is between those two very well-accomplished sires. So I just think if he turns up, he's going to get a good trip. According to the time for him, he's just going to sit right on the inside, probably right in behind a horse like Corruption, who's the one in here. and probably just go by and win by 3. I mean, really, if you could argue, even if he's like 90% in this race, not fully cranked, he might still win.
I agree. Last comment on Sakaya, because it's rare that we have the ownership, listening to our show here. But Matt Cutera also says, yeah, it's hard to go 1.5 miles off the bench. We're talking about Sakaya again. Hoping for good effort here and something to build on. If she's good pre-race, I think she can hit the board at some kind of price. Matt, we're cheering for you. Hope Sakaya does well. Go ahead.
And there's one thing I wanted to add, actually, because earlier last year, this is exactly what Farbridge did too. Granted, in a little bit of an easier spot, ran in an optional claim. You can see on your screen 62K and ran well off the bench there. So has run well off the bench as well. Again, granted, in an easier spot, but he's also a better horse now than he was at that point last year.
I would agree. He actually did that. He won that race easier than it looked. He waited and just was tons the best, even though he only won by half a length. Pat, this is not the goal for this horse, clearly. I don't know where they're going. There is a $1 million turf race on Derby weekend. That's only 1.8 miles, Pat. This horse might want to go longer, so I'm not exactly sure what the target is, but this is definitely not the target, and there are horses that can beat him. So I think you have to tread a little bit carefully here.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think this is a spot that they found, but this is also something where this horse is definitely going to have to work for it, because obviously the other Clement, Tawnyport, that horse, it has numbers that are right there. I mean, this horse I'm not sure if this horse wants to win.
Man,
it just cannot really find the winner's circle too much. So I think Tawnyport's interesting. And then the 3 cash equities, the one I wanted to talk about, who, I think he's, just needs to progress a little bit more. Obviously has not faced, the competition. You got to go back to the Turf Mile. The competition's been a little bit, Major Dude was okay, but I think those last 2 races, Capture the Flag, that race was a doozy. And just didn't really run too well. So I'm hoping Safi can get this horse wheeling this back, in about 3 weeks. So I'm hoping Safi can have this horse ready, because I do think there's something there. Is in that buyer speed figure range that should fit.
Raymond, I love the fact that you're going to be part of Team HHH. We were not part of Team Capture the Flag last time. I'm happy you had the pick 3, though, Raymond. Very happy for you, but Capture the Flag knocked me out of what was going to be a really nice pick 5 that I was planning to have multiple times, so that sort of sucked. But I'm happy for you. I don't like Capture the Flag in this race, guys, at all. I thought he was a bit fortunate to win last time. Cash equity, Kyle, I'm not sure the replay, got the dream of dream trips last time and still couldn't go by Capture the Flag. I respect Patrick and everyone else in the chat that likes this horse. I don't like him at all in the win end. Could he finish in the money? Sure. I'm not going to use him at all in my pick 5, I don't think.
I agree. I just had him in there over Tawnyport just due to recency. Tawnyport's also another one coming off of a layoff in this spot. So just maybe Tawnyport might needing one. Plus, with, as you guys talked about, doesn't exactly find the winner's circle himself. So, and going with the 3 over the 5 just for the recency type of point. I do have Capture the Flag in second. I'm not getting beat again by a horse that's going to be up close in one of these races, because there's really not a whole lot of speed in here again for this type of race. Granted, it's 1.5 miles. You can argue how much pace means, but Padiddle's the one that they have up close to him, and Padiddle was 6th by 6 lengths last time at 1 3/8 miles. So I refuse to get beat by a horse like that again.
I'm going to use him very, very defensively.
I think that's very fair.
Man, I suppose you can. These distance races lately seem to be killing me. So I don't know. We'll see. But clearly, it's going to be fun to see what Farbridge does. And I've got Tawnyport second. He's got second and third. I just, like you said, Pat. But if it's not Farbridge, it could be a lot of horses. And I think, I think Tawnyport is actually the best horse other than Farbridge. The problem, guys, is of course they're both coming off layoffs. So we'll see what happens. All right. And Chris NG said he's lone speed Capture the Flag, Kyle. So look, I mean,
it could happen, but
it definitely could happen.
It would be a tough way. But
need Farbridge to have that sword dancer ride by Joel. Get to the lead.
Exactly.
That was that type of ride too. That no speed at all, just go and hope.
Yep.
That was
Sorry for my camera, guys. Sometimes I accident. But real quickly, guys, can we talk about Team HHH? This is very
Yes,
exciting.
please.
For those people who don't know, and I sent out an email, if you go to our website, we are introducing a bevy. How about that, Paul Harry? You like that word? A plethora, a bunch, a lot of Power Pick tip sheets in 2025, and we've packaged them together in what we're calling Team HHH. If you simply just go to our website, ladies and gentlemen, here's the website, and you click on the Power Picks tip sheet tab at the top, and you go to Specialty Power Picks. A few quick things I want to note. I'm not going to read it all, but Team HHH basically covers the rest of 2025 with Keeneland Spring, our new international Power Picks, the Kentucky Oaks Derby weekend Power Picks, Saratoga Meet Power Picks, including Belmont Festival and 4th of July weekend, Del Mar, Keeneland Fall, and Breeders' Cup. Wow. You get all of these Power Picks. It's over 100 Power Picks, by the way. For the rest of the year, you can make it in separate payments, in 2 payments. You can read about that. We also have available Keeneland only Power Pick tip sheet is now available, and Keeneland Meet starts, of course, a week from Friday. And then we also further down have our brand new international only Power Picks written by Davey Lane, and you can read about it. But at the bottom of the screen, Davey and I did about a 28-minute video talking about what the international Power Picks are going to be about. So a lot of opportunities, and the whole reason why we're doing Team HHH, Kyle, is I thought it'd be a great idea to bundle it all together. People only have to make 2 payments the whole year. They get plenty of tracks. It's a huge discount, and it's really the best way to go. So we hope everyone becomes a part of Team HHH. For details on how to pay for it and all that, again, just go to our website. Kyle is muted.
Host fail again. I'm not even sick this time. I don't even have anything to say about that. But no, look, it's 1, convenient. 2, you are saving money from that regard. But also, people look at the price and they're like that, but then they don't realize how much they're actually paying throughout for Saratoga every single weekend that they're running, including, like you said, Belmont and 4th of July. Keeneland both meets, Del Mar. I mean, you get all this information from us for that the entire year. Again, 1, it's very convenient, and 2, you're saving money as well. So even though, again, just read through it all the information's on the website. And again, if you have questions, feel free to pop in, ask questions either in the live chat here. Howard's email is always at the bottom of the screen. It's also on the website as well. So feel free to ask us any questions you guys have. But Katie, my friend, I'm very excited for those Keeneland, especially those Keeneland Power Picks.
Yeah, and Pat, we've said this before. I mean, you have to find the right price. You got to find the right horse. We're going to be wrong sometimes, just like everyone else. Very simply, you find that 10-to-1 shot we tout, you put $20 to win, that practically pays for half the year on one bet. It's really, I know we're sounding like salesmen, but it's really very simple. If you just find the right horse and put a small bet, you've already paid for a lot of shit already. So why not?
For sure. And I think the layout of it's great too. You look at other, picks on other websites and stuff like that. I like, how it's just very detailed, straight to the point. And it's very easy for everybody to read. You do a very good job of, writing the power picks in a certain way where people can understand, what you're looking for. So I think that's just adding more fuel to what has also been just very good and positive.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We're all going to be involved in writing the Power Picks, by the way. I'm not going to have time to do full-time school and write 125 Power Picks. Sorry, everyone. But that's why I have you guys and great people like Jackson and Ryan and Charlie and Noah and, Pete and Paul and everyone to write the Power Picks. And last thing, I just want to make this clear to everyone. And it says in the website, I am going to do my best to have people that know these tracks best write the Power Picks. I know there are some people out there that specifically want me or other people to write the picks, and we'll do the best we can. But I have confidence in every single person at this podcast, and so we're going to be sharing the load for sure. Let's get into race 7, guys. This race is fascinating to me. It's the Go Zapper. I put this out on X earlier today about White Barrio. Race 7 is the Go Zapper, 226 Eastern. They're going a mile 16th. It's 2 turns. Short run into the first turn, first line finish, 165,000. It's only a grade 3. And look who's in here, White Barrio. Wow. Coming off a win in the Pegasus $1 million race, and now, or a few million, whatever it is, and now is in for 185,000 or 165,000. Does this race screams so much a means to an end? It's just absolutely crazy. Wow, Kyle, you got some kahunas too, man.
I know.
I'm going 245. Kyle's going 243. Pat's like, you guys are stupid. I'm going 426. Why are we messing around? Look, White Abario's gonna be 1-5. Pat, he's obviously the horse to beat. I think Kyle would even admit, as well as I, he's probably going to win the race. There's some weird stuff going on here, but Pat, let's just talk about the obvious favorite who ran a complete hole in the wind in the Pegasus.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to beat the drum here too much. I'll just say, I mean, this horse, I just really kind of appreciated this horse just from, I just have always had admiration for this horse, and the horse has always ran well when I, to be quite honest, selfishly bet this horse. And I want to hear you guys out because I do think it's obviously interesting why the horse falls in this spot, as there is multiple races coming up within the next month or two that this horse can go in for a purse that's way more. But maybe this horse just wants to stay home and, collect the paycheck, and then they can figure out options, because we do know that the end goal, that from what I've read, is the Met Mile. So maybe they're just going to try and piece it together from here.
Look, I mean, if he doesn't have much to beat in here, Pat. This is not a very strong field. If this was a better field, I'd really, really be against him. Kyle, I just find it incredibly weird, and maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe you are too.
Yeah.
But the horse does have some works. He rested up for a month after the win. That's logical, right? I think I would do the same after he freaked. He has 4 works that are perfectly fine. Actually, 5 works. Mm-hmm. They're perfectly fine. I'm sure he's working well, but I would say 2 things. Number 1, there's absolutely no way he's cranked for this race. I don't care what the time says, number 1. And number 2, if he was that good, are they that scared of Sierra Leone and New Orleans? Or they are that afraid to travel? It's not like they haven't traveled before. Maybe me not picking him, Kyle's just pissed that he's in this race at all. Maybe that's just what it is. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And if Pat's right about the Met Mile, they're not going to run now for another 2 months after this race? Now, there is the Ali Sheba on Derby weekend. That's $750,000 mile and a 16th race at Churchill. He's never gone to Churchill. He's probably going to win by 10, Kyle, and I'm probably going to look stupid. But this whole thing just seems weird to me. I don't know.
That's it. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's really either he's not cranked at all in this race and runs a closing third by 3/4, or wins this race by half the stretch. I mean, realistically speaking, I was completely against him in the Pegasus to my own detriment. Obviously, Locked came back and ran a hole in the wind out in California, so we could look like complete morons for doing this. But again, he's going to be he's probably going to be 1-9 in this spot. 1-5, 1-9. It's too weird for me not to play against, and I can't believe that. I mean, that's exactly it. It's just, to your point, Howard, we might be nitpicking, but it's so weird. It's either you single him in this race or you completely toss him. That's the way you got to play this race in a horizontal type beat. Is either you single him or you toss him, and he probably won't lose this race. Bittersweet, to be completely honest with you. But I'm willing to take a shot, because no matter who else you pick, the price is going to be right enough to try and take a shot against him.
He's a 6-year-old off of Monster Top. Choosing this spot is just, I don't know. It's just weird. Anyway, let's move on. The only horse that I can see logically beating him is the one that we both have. And Kyle, I'm going to admit, there's Derby Fever Syndrome. There's also Tuscan Sky Syndrome, which apparently I have, because I've picked this horse a bunch of times and I've been wrong. But you know what, Kyle? He's the only one in this race that has numbers even close. And if you go by time form, his race in the Pegasus, not the Pegasus in Florida, the one last year is a 3-year-old where he won by 6 with a 99, and the Discovery where he got a 98. I know the buyers are slower, but if you look at the time form, and again, I believe in time form, those 2 races for Tuscan Sky was, just hear me out, everyone, 122s. Okay. He has run twice 2 122s, not just once, but twice. And White Abario, and obviously he completely freaked in his last race, 127. But other than his Pegasus last time, he hasn't run great, except when he
Back
was
to
a
the
complete freak, 2.5 years ago. So, or 2 years ago. This horse has to regress to me in this race. I'm talking about White Abarrio. And I think Tuscan Sky is capable. Now, his rides have driven me crazy, Kyle. If I'm Dylan, just please send. Just go.
go. Yep.
Go as hard as you can. If the crappy number 6, sorry about the connections if you like the 6. I don't mean really crappy, just comparatively speaking. If this speed horse that's going to, fall off at the end, One Sharp Cookie wants the lead, go. Let him go and come around him and stalk him, get first run, and take your chances. The Tuscan Sky, Kyle does not want to be raiding behind, doesn't want to take a lot of dirt. But when he gets in the clear on the outside, or maybe he'll just gun and go for the lead. I don't even care if they go 46 in this race. Screw it. He's capable on his best day, and he's going to be maybe the second choice, but the second choice can be 5-1 here.
That's why,
And what you get in the pick 5, if this horse happens to win, or doubles or pick 3s, is going to be astronomical.
Yeah,
so I think it's worth the gamble. If he loses and we're wrong, so be it.
It won't be the first time I'm wrong on Tuscan Sky. I will say that. I agree. He's shown that he is capable, and the way that he can win this race is by taking the bull by the horns and just going. Not like the last couple. Dylan Davis is very good. He's aggressive when he needs to be. Just go. And again, Bittersweet. I told you you're probably right. I'm not trying to say that. But again, as Howard stated, if you can beat White Abarrio in this race, it's exponential how good it could be. And again, and that's exactly what I mean, is hopefully Tuscan Sky can be to the outside. You're going to have to get first run on a horse like White Abarrio. But and again, if he runs a 120, White Abarrio, besides 2.5 years ago and the Pegasus, has run 10 points less than that. So again, Price will be right to try to beat him, even though it might be just complete null and void.
Pat, let's see. Where have I seen a race, a monster favorite coming off a Breeders' Cup effort or a huge effort, supposedly going to roll over the field and a loose leader win? Oh, yeah, last week in the New Orleans Classic when Touch Upon a Star wired Sierra Leone. Look, it can happen, guys. It's not like that's never happened before, Pat. So we're taking a stab. You're going with the logical. I get it. We'll see what happens.
Think it all makes sense, and it's all going to play out. But you do got to wonder if the result does go the way of what you guys picked. With Tuscan Sky, what do the connections of White Abarrio do? Because that's not a good look.
I don't think it would change what they're going to do, Pat. That's sort of my point.
Yeah.
Like, this is just a means to an end. Like, unless he falls on his face, I'm not saying they're not trying to win the race, but that's not what they're pointing to. And there's just way too much value in Tuscan Sky. I don't think their plans change at all, Pat, unless he gets hurt or something else. But you make a fair point. Let's go on the last race, guys, because we got a wonderful show coming up 9:30 Eastern live here on Tuesday night with Pacific Horse Players. I don't want Noah yelling at me. The last race we're going to cover tonight is the Gulfstream Park Oaks, guys, race 9 on Saturday. This is a interesting race. It's not the strongest group of 3-year-old fillies and mares, I would say, but it is points for the Oaks. It's a grade 2. It's $250,000, mile and 16th. There's the field. There's 3 Saffies all on the inside. Paradise City early on in the Queen's MG. I'm going to guess the Queen's MG is the favorite here. I would say a soft favorite over 5G. I'm just guessing. Of course, let's see where we're going here in the last race we're covering tonight. I'm going 1-4-3. Kyle's going 4-1-3. Pat's going 6-1-4. Hey, guys, we got 3 different horses. That's nice. Pat, you're going with the horse that I took a long look at. Really interesting for Shug and Dylan. Only has 1 race lifetime. Did it well at Tampa. The number 6, Cassiar. Talk about this horse.
Yeah, I rewatched that race. Horse did go off at 12-1. I really just like the way the horse came from off the pace. They did in the lane. They did finish. 3 horses kind of did finish at the wire. But ultimately, Cassiar and She's a Gemma for Pilmont, I believe. They kind of both finished out ahead. In the stretch and in the gallop out. And I thought there was some more there. I think this horse should appreciate the stretch out and distance. Shug does seem to get better with time. I think the works have been halfway okay. Not too sure how those have been, but I'm going to take a stab in here. I'm not sure what the price I'm going to get.
This was a really good fight here, Pat, because you would think this horse in between is sort of done, but
Yeah.
not only did she fight on, like you said, she galloped out. So I think she wants more distance too. This is a pretty talented filly here, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And I just really couldn't get aboard the Queen's MG again. I just really wasn't about that. And, obviously I'll let you guys talk about the 1 and 4. But I think, the 6 could be a little interesting. And I think the board will tell a lot.
Kyle Cassia reminds me of a horse called Fondly, who ran at Colonial Downs when we were at the NHC and won that filly mare race. A very lightly raced, talented 3-year-old. The problem is the difference between this race and the Fondly race is this race, Cassia's got to go 2 turns, number 1, number 2. It's a lot to ask in a field that's better than the Fondly race, but this is City of Light. I like your pick, Pat. I think she's very interesting. If not for Saturday, definitely down the road. Now, Kyle, you're going to go with the 4, and that is 5G, who I thought ran really well in the Honeybee, broke way outside. Irad had to use aggressively. She almost held on against Quiet Side, who I think is improving. This is a New York bred, by the way, and she picks a great spot here to run at Gulfstream because I'm not sure how far she wants to go, but if you're going to get 2 turns somewhere, it would be at Gulfstream. I would dislike her strongly in the Oaks, though, if she got there, personally.
Yeah, and I feel like I like that she went 2 turns at Oaklawn last time, showed that she has the ability to run 2 turns. Granted, might not want to run much farther than that, but the point is that, again, she was second to Quiet Side, who's probably going to be like one of your shorter prices right now for the Oaks, based off that Honeybee win. The other thing that I like about 5G is actually Timeform has her near the lead. I don't necessarily think that 5G needs the lead because you're going to have the Queen's MG that wants to go, and you're going to have the 6 Cassiar, Pat's horse, who's going to probably want to be towards the lead, probably not on the lead necessarily.
Yeah.
So even if Cassiar drops back to where near the 7 is, I'm perfectly fine with 5G sitting on the outside. She actually started her career or winning career on the turf, but showed the ability to kind of rate a little bit, not necessarily in behind horses, but still showed the ability that she doesn't necessarily need to be a hell-bent lead type. Beat Paradise City 2 back in the cash run by 9. Again, 1 turn, different type of scenario. But if 5G can sit either that right off lead, or if Cassiar does end up going, I don't necessarily think she's going to get a bad trip from getting first run on those leaders. So 5G, I'm hoping the Queen's MG is going to be favored in here because if 5G is the favorite, I don't necessarily want to touch her on the win end if she's the favorite.
I'm going to disagree with one thing. I think 5G is a dead send again. I don't think she can win rating. I think Ira's going to leave aggressively and sit right off and then come around. This is the Queen MG's first round 2 turns, guys. I've never really been a big fan of hers. She ran real well last time, but she got a perfect trip in the Vonadale when she came up the inside. This is a tougher ask, and she's probably going to be the favorite. This is probably my strongest opinion of the day, guys. And I remember this race last year because a horse called Power Squeeze won for me as a speaking of power, a power pick play at 11-1. Paradise City, guys, looks like the same kind of horse to me. I really like Matt Miller. Are you listening? I really like Paradise City, and she is not going to be a favorite. I'll be brief, guys. I think that last race, I'm not going to show the replay. She learned how to rate. She was in behind horses, and she absolutely blew by that field. Now, I know that was a weaker field. Her profile reminds me a lot of Power Squeeze, where, look, she's gradually improving, right? She's one of the few closers in this race where there's a lot of speed. She's been working really well. Look at these works. She gets the rail. And I think she's going to sit another great trip in a field, guys, that's just not very good. And you're like, Howard, she's too slow. Let me go back to Power Squeeze because she actually is running in the White Barrier race. And it's worth showing for one reason, guys. Look at the speed figs of Power Squeeze when she was a 3-year-old. You got to go back. Here's her win. Here's her win in the Gulfstream Park Oaks, guys. The same race last year, right? Let me make this bigger. She was a little slow, right? 82, 71, and then all of a sudden she exploded to 92 by sitting right off the speed and winning. And I'm not saying that the rail horse in the race that we're talking about is going to run in 92 here, but it's got a lot of the same vibe for me. It really does. I like Paradise City a lot. I'm a little bit against the Queens MG. I'm probably going to use two. I'm going to use mainly Paradise City and 5G, figuring either 5G wires or Paradise City comes from behind and wins. And I'm probably not going to use the Queens MG. I mean, how many favorites do you want to use in these races? Although it's not a straight sequence, though, right, guys? So I guess I could. I don't know what people think in the chat. We're going to go to it right now, but I think Paradise City is fascinating, and I think I'm going to get, like I said, 6-1-ish. Save the Clock Tower says Paradise City owes me a big one. Mike Saletta said he agrees with Pat that 6 will like the distance. Katie mentions that Guns N' Roses has a song, Paradise City. Absolutely. Not a huge Guns N' Roses guy, but I respect it.
It's like their most popular song, man. Come on.
No, I don't dislike them. I just
no, I know.
I think Paradise City is on a big race, guys. I really this is one of the weaker Oaks props I've seen in a while, Pat. It's just unless people think Queens MG is the goods or 5G, I don't know. It's not a very deep field to me, so I'm price shopping.
I mean,
yeah, no, it makes sense. The Queens MG is obviously an interesting horse. $3,500 purchase. Wins a stakes race in Saratoga at what 44 to 44 and a half
million to one. Yeah.
It just obviously an awesome story, but you just got to wonder, is the talent all there? And Howard brings up the point of going 2 turns for the first time, and will most likely be the favorite. So bring all that into account. I think you got to find a price, and you with the 1, Kyle with the 4, and me with the 6. I think this could be. It'll be at least it's an interesting race, regardless of talent. So that's good. And
Pat, you and I have the 1 and 2nd, so obviously we think Paradise City can run. It's just a matter of what does that pace complexion look like up top, especially if like I said, Irad doesn't go with the Queens MG as he has done before. I think she's getting a little better off of cover, so she's going to sit to the inside. So it's going to be all complete. I think Howard, I completely agree with your point. I think you might only need either this horse on the lead or near the lead, and your best closer in the race, at least what it looks like on paper with Paradise City.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun on Saturday, guys. And that's not even late pick 5 because you guys are covering late pick 5 tomorrow, including the Florida Derby, which I have very strong opinions on. Also, maybe I'll make a little quick. I'll talk to you, Kyle, off air. I'm gonna maybe a quick 2 or 3 minute surprise visit. Well, it won't be a surprise. I'm saying it, but tomorrow because I want to say hi to Caleb as well. But anyway, we have our regular power pick tip sheets, which cover a lot of tracks that we're not covering, of course, with Team HHH. Kyle already mentioned how well it's done in the last 4 years. Look below the video player. That, ladies and gentlemen, you sign up through on Patreon. As always, our Team HHH and Keeneland and International, you're going to sign up through Venmo or PayPal, and information of that is on our website. Pat, final thoughts on what's going to be a very exciting weekend, including, of course, the Arkansas Derby and Oaklawn, which we're going to cover Thursday night show, and a horse called Cornucopian, who's gotten a little bit of buzz for Mr. Baffert, but it's definitely going to be exciting Saturday at Gulfstream, Pat.
Yeah, that's going to be cinema to see you, Pete, and Paul talk about Cornucopian on Thursday to lead into that show. But no, Saturday is going to be great. This is probably one of the first Saturdays now that starts to lead up to it's getting warmer and warmer as these races get bigger and bigger. So no, this is a good card, and Kyle and we'll be doing the show tomorrow night. Those 5 races are going to be loaded. So I'm excited for this weekend. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, Kyle, it's been fun to see how these layoff horses do. And again, we could be more wrong about White Barrow than ever before. I think he'll probably win, but I just don't think he's going to run away with it. That's just that's my big point of the entire podcast, really.
Yep. And it won't be, again, if I'm wrong, won't be the first time I'm wrong on that horse. I can tell you that much, again, for free. But
if I'm wrong, Kyle, I will come in next week and say when he runs a 106 and wins by 20, I'll just say I couldn't be more wrong. And I'm certainly happy to admit that. Well, it's all exciting, guys, because the Kentucky Derby is coming up soon. And I know Pat a little bit scared with the Kentucky Derby today. He knows what I mean. It's going to be – Kyle has no idea what we're talking about, but I'll talk to Kyle about that later. But it's all good, guys. Have a lot of fun, everyone. This Saturday, we've got Pacific Horse Players coming up in half an hour here, 9:30 Eastern, live. On Tuesday, Kyle's got Ben and Boozin tomorrow with the late pick 5 at Gulfstream. And then Thursday, Picks and Ponies back again with the Arkansas Derby late pick 5 and great race plays for Santa Anita on Sunday. For great friends and host of Bet and Booze and Kyle Roscoe, co-host of Bet and Booze and Patrick Kunzel. This has been your host, Howard Kravitz, episode 401, of Picks and Ponies. Guys, should we do it? Should we do it together just for fun on a count of three? We know what to say. 1, 2, 3. Crush your bets at Gulfstream this Saturday. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.